Yes, this is the August 8th meeting of 2019 meeting of the Shade Tree Commission in Athens City. We have enough people, I think, for a quorum, but it's a small group.
I think we need 5, which is what we have.
There are no concerns about ordinance 37 or 31.
33.
33.
Yeah. Okay.
So we can pass those over.
Okay.
Has anybody heard of any problems with the tree canopy that we should be talking about, or is that something we can let go to? Just for a piece of information, the judges who were here for the Athens in Bloom thought that our canopy was very good. They thought our trees looked great. Of course, we didn't take them to the places where they were barren, but so we cheated a little bit. But
Everybody probably does.
Yeah. So John has Ron's maybe.
Yeah. So Ron's report, as transmitted to us by David, was that American Bloom tour went extremely well. He said we were complimented on our tour method and our profile presentation. We will know our score sometime in September, so that's another month or so. Thanks to all who helped participate, and we should strive to keep the momentum going in 2020. The second point that Ron made was in terms of revisiting the tree bank process. He says it currently is not being formalized, but he says that needs to change. So I don't know exactly what that means. I guess he needs to get something done with that, huh? Maybe.
Well, I think he needs to involve us for one thing.
Okay. The third point and the last point he had was he said that he would like to schedule an Arbor Day celebration in mid-October. So
sounds good.
So that's Ron's report. I don't know if anybody has any comments about that or not.
I've talked to him briefly about the tree plan. It's one of the things that we talked to the mayor about when David and I met with him, and tree planting plan, and he's a little concerned because it's so hard to predict in any given year how many losses we're going to have and how that financially is going to affect whatever budget we have. So, but it is something that I think we as a group probably could work on and feel better about knowing what it is our goals are, what we want to try to achieve each year, and maybe even give us some ammunition for asking for more money, which is always
So are we
helpful.
only replacing dead trees, or is there a budget to plant new trees on the berms?
There's a budget, but it has to be. The main thing that he does is replace the trees that are. That's the first step he takes, and then whatever's left over gets.
Are they going residences, or are they public spaces as opposed to residential areas?
It's the losses are usually in public spaces because they're public trees that we replace. The trees that fall down in your yard and my yard.
I'm just thinking along the street.
Yeah, there's no reason why we couldn't do those.
Yeah.
And, and I think that's part of the reason for trying to get a better handle on the tree bank. We should have available to the community a good number of trees, and we could start to, we could even, if we wanted to, try to start a process where people could request trees in the public spaces in their area, and then as a committee or the city or somebody could judge those and determine which ones have enough space.
Maybe instead of a criteria.
Right, exactly. So, but the first thing we need to do is really get a handle on the
That's one resource that we have that we are. I don't know whether you've noticed it, but we have an ordinance where we have people, anybody who builds a large commercial area has to compensate for the loss of land that's covered by cement and buildings and stuff. And oftentimes they don't follow through, and they don't pay us back what they owe us in terms of money for trees that they didn't plant. So we need to get that all straightened out and make it people more accountable, and also to help us keep our tree canopy alive. So that's one of the things that we're working on, what we need to work on. So that's one of our future issues.
Yeah, I think we have trees banked from Don Wood when he moved out there on East State Street.
Do we?
I think we do. I mean, I don't recall that. I don't believe they were going to put all the trees in that they needed to put in. I'm not sure they put many trees in yet. There are trees they probably owe us on their site, but I think there are also trees that are being banked by them with the city, and we need to find out those and potentially use them. And then what's the name of the lumber company that's coming? Menards. They're banking trees too.
Well, that place just looks.
It's pretty wide open now,
yeah.
Right?
I thought they were going to save some of the trees down there. I don't know, maybe.
No, they were never going to save them.
No.
We were trying to get them to put back as many as we could. They've got retention ponds and other things that they're required to put in, and so I don't think their intention was ever to save any there.
But wasn't there a section of the land that was wooded, and they were?
It was all volunteer stuff, but there were some trees there. Yeah. There were probably not a lot of good ones. I don't know if anybody ever went in and took a look and said, this one's really worth saving. But right from the beginning, they were planning to pretty much clear cut that, and again, because they needed building, and they got to raise property. They needed dirt. They had to have pits to retain water to slow the run, any runoff, and so they are proposing to use the entire site that they bought and develop it. So.
Well, they had those several different buildings that they needed too, right?
Yeah. And unlike Lowe's, they cater to bigger trucks coming in and things like that.
Right.
I think Lowe's is more catering to small contractors and community members and things, whereas Menards focuses a lot of their energy on bigger customers.
Construction.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't know.
Well, let's don't let that get away from us.
Right.
When Ron is here and David's here, we can maybe tackle it again.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have a method of checking to make sure that people who are supposed to put in trees have actually put them in?
No.
Well, I mean, that's the responsibility of the code office, really.
Oh.
Well, David said he's keeping track.
Okay.
In the minutes now.
Right. Well, and we asked him to do that,
attaching the plan.
Who has what responsibility
to the minutes, so that we'll know what we did.
Yeah.
And then we can check it ourselves if we want to.
Yeah.
There was something in the minutes about our volunteering to be part of the pruning of trees, and I don't know. It was said that I said it, and I don't remember ever saying it or even thinking about saying it.
I think we can rewind the tape. I remember you saying it.
So if I said that, I'm sorry. Well, as a committee, we've gotten out a couple of times to get wild vines off of trees and clean up areas. We've done that, and my guess is that we might. I would never trust myself pruning trees unless somebody was there to tell me this is what I needed to do and this branch ought to come off.
Apparently,
but
all the city trees are supposed to be up high enough so that the garbage trucks and the fire engines and stuff can move through without banging their heads on it.
Yeah, they're breaking.
Well, I think there would be no problem in cutting off small branches that come out from the trunk below where the tree canopy is supposed to be.
Yeah.
Yep.
It doesn't sound like a job that this little group could do very effectively. Anyway, So we'll see about that too.
Well, I think that we should be able to have the responsibility if occasionally we wish to do something. I mean, like if there's a city tree out in front of your yard and there's one little limb that's coming way down too low, and it might be easier to go out and just cut that off than to report that someone needs to come out and do it.
Yeah, you're probably right.
But I don't think we should have any significant responsibility for pruning.
I think we could probably keep an eye out and point people in the right direction.
Right.
So
well, I think the city would have liability if you started cutting trees on the city right away and stuff like that. Okay. I mean, they probably don't, but we should probably notify them. And quite frankly, if you went out and cut a tree, they probably, a limb, not a tree, they probably wouldn't know about it at all anyway. But, anyway.
So any other issues? Okay, well, then we're adjourned.
Well, do you want to approve the minutes?
Oh, yes.
And since we don't have them, you want me to read them?
Yes.
Okay. I can do that hopefully real quickly here. So at the last meeting, Nancy was there, Emily was there, Lee was there, Jim was there, and Ron came. So there were no Title 33 or 37 issues. Ron's report, better if I take this off. So it says, deadwood pruning is to do on Tulane and Woodward along Tulane Creek. There are some trees that need deadwood pruning on Blick. Nancy suggested that the commission be trained in the basics of, I think it's supposed to say trimming, but it says trained in the basics of training.
Ron, I didn't say, you said that. Those people from Athens and Bloom said that.
Oh, did they? Ron agreed that they could do to pruning and crowning, lifting of small trees. Ron requested that the commission help him in establishing a policy for planting memorial trees. Ron will send the commission copies of policies from elsewhere and a list of trees that the city has planted. And then the next part of it was about Athens and Bloom. Judges will tour on July 25th and 26th. Local contest will be judged by Ron and several others on July 12th. Local businesses have been helpful and supportive, in particular Les Cornwell and John Wharton. Mr. Cornwell's staff have helped with watering the hanging baskets, something which city staff have not been able to do. Ron asked residents to spruce up their gardens in preparation for the visit. Ron has arranged for city landscape staff for help with mulching trees on Court Street and nearby streets on Tuesday, July 16th and Wednesday, July 17th. Volunteers are asked to help with weeding and mulching tree pits. Minutes of the June 13 meeting, a motion to approve the minutes from Lee and seconded by Emily. The minutes were approved without objection. And then it just says the next meeting. So that's the minutes.
John.
Okay.
Can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll move that we approve the minutes as presented.
Thank you, John.
I'll second.
Thank you.
By Jim. Okay. Okay, so I guess they passed. Nobody opposed? Okay, so they passed.
No one's opposed.
Okay.
I helped with the weeding of the tree pits.
Okay.
And the main thing I hadn't noticed before is how healthy some of those trees are.
Mm.
And some of them are white white oak. Okay. Really a nice tree. Uh-huh. And the ones that are down toward the end of toward the end of Court Street some of them are quite large actually. They're getting really beautiful. So if you have a chance to take a look, they're looking like they're really making it.
And when you say at the end of Court Street, you're talking about the university end?
No, the other end.
The other end, okay.
Yeah.
So I tend to walk up from Baker Center almost almost every day, and at least up to the courthouse. So I see those trees often. Many seem to be doing good. Occasionally you'll see a broken limb or something there.
There was one point when I looked, and it seemed like everybody was looking pretty dismal, but the other day when I was there, they looked really good. Yeah. I was shocked. There's a tree. I lost a tree in my house, in my yard. Okay. So I'm going to replace it with a swamp white oak.
You know, one of the things I went to Oregon and was in Portland this past week, and in a lot of their tree pits in their downtown area, they have like a material that you would find in playgrounds. You know, that real soft, rubbery, and it seemed really nice. Now, I don't know if it's expensive, and I was kind of wondering whether water actually would percolate through it. I assume it must, but I thought that was, because we're always struggling with the pits, just putting mulch in there. At one point in time, we had grates on there, but those things get ajar and stuff like that. It was just a challenge. I don't know what the right answer is, but it seemed like a pretty good solution there. I just sensed that it was probably a pretty expensive solution, but I don't know if that's true or not.
But one of the things that I think would be really nice, there's in front of this building, for instance, and there's two of them, the two fairly large, long areas, which allows the tree to have almost like a little lawn. And then you can plant other things in it too. And so they don't have to have hanging baskets and stuff like that, because you have the plants are in the ground. And they did something like that along Union Street, where they did when they renovated after the fire. And that's one of the things that I'm hoping that the city will look at as a possibility of figuring out or doing something to the sidewalks themselves to widen them, to allow the trees to have more space, and the plants.
The city has applied. They have been seeking some funding to redo the additional just like Union Street, but the streets that run perpendicular to Court Street. So we're talking the other that would be East Union, Washington Street, and State Street, and maybe even Mill. But they're looking at those sidewalk improvements that are similar, and so they're seeking funding for that.
Yeah, that would be great.
It would be difficult, though, to get more space for trees. I mean, then you probably are talking about, you might be able to do some things where there's at the crosswalks or something and get a bigger area there because you don't park there. But otherwise we'd be losing parking, and I think that would not be something the downtown merchants would be very excited about.
Right. Yeah, there's that too.
They need everything they can get to try to stay competitive with the East State Street shopping and other places, I guess.
There's not much for them to compete with either. I mean, there's just not much down here.
No, there's not. But,
excuse me.
No, go ahead, Emily.
Go
I'm
ahead.
done. I'm done.
You were talking about maybe not having hanging baskets. I think that's because of the problem of watering them regularly. Some years ago, there was a young man from our church who was retarded, who had that job, and he seemed to really enjoy doing it and seemed to be doing an adequate job of it. And if we could find someone, not necessarily retarded, but someone who has extra time and would like a little unpaid job, maybe they could take care of the watering of the pots if we continue to have pots.
Yeah. They've got some things that they have on the ground too. What do you call them? They used to be trash cans, I guess, and they made them into planters.
Right.
But those are really nice.
Yeah. We know the university has emeriti that work in the emeriti garden for free. that weed and help with things there. I don't know if there's some group. Project Plant has got their hands full, all the things they're trying to
Master
do.
Gardeners has the children's garden.
Yeah,
Wissendahl has the Wissendahl garden.
So I don't know, but yeah, maybe there would be.
Herb Guild has the herb garden.
Yeah. So I don't know. But there probably could be some senior citizens like myself that could be asked or something. I don't know.
To do some watering.
Yeah. I don't know.
And maybe if we all thought about organizations that we have some connection with, thinking about whether there are some of those that could take
Do
this
something
over
like
as
that.
an extra little job.
Yeah. Well, right now it seems nice that although it's not an extensive group of people, the downtown merchant group, or the I don't know what it's called exactly, but they have some kind of a group.
They got themselves organized.
And Les and John Wharton and things are helping with that a lot.
I don't know whether he'll be involved after his place closes, Cornwell.
Oh, he's got a lot of rentals there on town, on Court Street, and yeah, he'll. I'm sure he'll stay involved. I don't think, and he has his rental office business on Court Street, and he has the beauty parlor or hair salon, I guess, is a part of it. My guess is he'll stay involved. I don't know.
He was a big push for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Everything. He did a lot of work. And his people, I think, did a lot of the watering.
Oh yeah. He paid them to do that, out of his own pocket. So yeah. He's a good, solid community member.
Okay, guys. Well.
So are we adjourned?
We're adjourned.
Okay. And I don't know. So the next meeting would be the second, Thursday? I don't know what that date is. Let me look here just to maybe put that on the record, I guess.
Okay.
So in September, that would be the 12th of September would be our next Shade Tree Commission meeting.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay. And I'll go ahead and...